Back in the day, people used to be really excited if they bought a megaphone and they would stand on the street because lots of people could hear them. Street preaching, yeah. And they would be loud because lots of people could hear them and they would think that they're more effective. Maybe it is effective. But we all have a phone that can reach the planet.
I got mobilized because of my phone.
Yeah.
Just scrolling.
That's so good.
I know. I think it could be a common story for many people if and only if we have more content about missions and Jesus online. So, to tell you the story again, I was just scrolling one day when I found out an information I didn't know in the past. And that one was enough to change my life. So when I found that information, I had a real conversation with God. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's not like I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's in the Bible that we're supposed to evangelize. But to see the reality, the harvest field is much more bigger than I thought. That's a different one.
I like how your story is not like I was scrolling and now I do all of this physical stuff for missions. You're so aware of the power of that one video, one picture that you came across on social media. You're so aware of that and how much it changed your heart towards the lost that you've put a big chunk of your time into creating the same content now because it affected you so much. Hey guys, the Jesus Magnet is now partnering with Witness Merch. They've even got a Jesus Magnet tab on their site with our merchandise. Let's check out their video.
At Witness Merch, we're more than just a store. We're part of your faith journey.
Our mission is simple: to provide affordable and accessible Christian merch so you can wear your faith proudly.
Not only do we have a range of trendy Christian merch and gifts, but we also offer customization to reflect your faith.
And above all, every purchase helps gift God's word to others, spreading the gospel message wherever you go.
All right. Well, welcome to the Jesus Magnet podcast. I'm your host, Joel, and today we have Hannah Mae with us from the Philippines. And Hannah and I go back 2 years, I think. 2 years when Laura and I first did our scout trip to Thailand. When we heard the Lord saying, come to Thailand, we went to this awesome conference called the EMDC. And it was really unique because it was the first conference that I had ever gone to, first and only still, actually, that I'd gone to as a Christian, and had all these filmmakers, lots of digital evangelists, lots of, there's a couple of YouTubers, but lots of Bible smugglers and really unique missions and missionaries. Basically all the missionaries that I had never thought you could become a missionary like that. I thought the Jesus Magnet was quite unique, but there was even the Bible Project. They were there, which was really neat. And the biggest part about the EMDC that I found really strange was that you weren't allowed to take any photos of people.
Ironic.
Yeah, because there was a security issue of these people working in countries, and they might, like, it's funny, we think in the Western countries, I'm not sure what it's like in the Philippines, but back in New Zealand and America, persecution is when my coworker treats me bad because I'm a Christian. And these people are like, I've gone to prison for Christ. I have been like attempted murder. People have tried to kill me for Christ. It's like next level when you realize, man, what am I doing worrying about my coworker? I need to step up in my faith. And that's what I liked about the eye-openingness of the EMDC, was the security and all that. But it was this, there's very little difference in my mind between some missionaries and secret spies. Seriously, they literally have they go in under alias names. Well, yeah, they go to another country. They're not telling the government what they're there for. They're undercover. They go to underground churches, secret meetings. They are smuggling things in, like covering Bibles and suitcases and things like that, so that if they get searched, they can't see them if they're like inside the lining of their suitcase.
Right.
Like literally, there's very little difference between these secret spies and what these missionaries are doing. Like it's almost on the same level, and they're also killed if they're found out and tortured.
Yeah, it's a different world. I do agree with you. I mean, I haven't been persecuted physically before. I think the farthest persecution I've ever experienced is that my social media
I
account
just bring
got-
your mic a little closer, if that's all right.
There you go.
You get comfy and pull the mic to you.
Here?
Yeah, that way. Perfect.
Oh, this close. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier, I think the closest persecution I've ever experienced is my social media account got blocked. I mean, like we were talking about spies and all
Yeah.
that. So we do have projects like those. So we create accounts that spreads the gospel. But then we do it in a way that it's also being advertised. So yeah, there's a little bit of anonymity. So we create legit accounts, we create content, put them on social media, and then we run ads in persecuted countries.
Wow. Okay.
It's true. So
So you're running an account like at you might be like Steve Boardman or something like that. Like your name is this alias name that's...
right. Or it could be an official account page.
Would it be under Hannah Mae?
No, it will be under a different name.
A different name, yeah.
So it could be like,
John Smith.
yeah, John Smith. Or you have to show up like a proper social media account that talks about Jesus. But then the audience will be for Muslims. Can I say that word?
Yeah.
Yeah, like for M's, for Buddhist.
Yeah.
And then we we create the account in the local language.
Hang
and
on,
then
can I ask why you didn't want to say that word? Is that a trigger word on social media when you're doing stuff? You're careful with...
Yes.
Just because that's your world, right?
Right. See, there you go. Like, I can't, because I know this is going to be in public.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I already have that security measure of like,
You have the
not saying-
security in the background. You're going,
Right.
what's safe to say? What's
exactly.
going to be effective? And yeah, it's such a different world. Coming from a country that, I mean, I'm just going to put it out there, zero persecution.
You can say
In my
anything.
opinion. Sorry?
Yeah, you can say anything.
You can say anything. You can live how you want to live. People might not like you for it, but they're not going to kill you over it.
Right.
It's, yeah, they're not even going to beat you up over it.
Right.
Like, you're,
Yeah.
you're pretty safe.
Right.
And then there's these other countries, and I like digital missions particularly. There's a smart way to do it, isn't there?
There is a smart way. And also we go through different kinds of training. So in EMDC, we had security training. So how
yes.
to properly conduct accounts, social media, your passwords, your safety, but in the digital world. So
True. So tell me a little bit about your story. We rewind to how you kind of got into this world. You shared with me earlier, but I'd love for you to retell it as if I'm hearing it for the first time.
right. Well, I'm a typical normal millennial. In the beginning, I grew up in a Christian home. So my parents are both Christians. And that's a story for most of the people around me. So I grew up in a Christian home, a Christian community, and we serve Jesus. We love Jesus. We were taught to grow up in a way that we should go, just like how parents should raise their children well. And I thought that's it, pretty much it. Like, you serve God. I became a Sunday school teacher, joined a worship team, played the piano, become a youth leader, and went on with life. You know, you go to school, you go to college. And then after some time, I found myself already working in the corporate world. So I did finance and management. And then after 5 years, I think it's 5 years of working, I have, like a midlife crisis because I'm already like 25, 26 years old at that time. And then I had this question in my mind. Is this it? Is this what's life about?
I think we all think that way around 25.
Right.
Life's fun for a season, and you can distract yourself with things.
Exactly.
Like some people go into alcohol, some people get really invested in good things like church. But then I feel like there's still a moment where you're going, am I living with my purpose? Is this what I was built for? Is this why God put me here? Is that what you're thinking?
Which is funny because we're already in church. So I'm
Yeah.
supposed to feel like I'm living it well. You know what I mean?
You're living purposefully. You're supposed to be thinking that.
Yeah. And then right before COVID, I think it was 2019, I was sitting in an office and then I just can't work anymore. Like, I remember I had devotions that night and the nights before that. And I remember reading, I tried to do the chronological order, reading the Bible. And then I went to New Testament about the Acts of the disciples. And then I was reading, all the disciples were experiencing persecution. Like, they die for their faith. Yeah. They give so much when they receive Jesus. Like, they lose their family, they lose their lives. And then Jesus was talking about following me is denying yourself, taking up your cross and following him. And then I look at my life, I'm like, I'm pretty comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference? Is it because I'm living in a Christian country and they're not? That's the question in my mind.
Yeah. I ended up writing something out. It was only, I think it was this morning. Just had something, I'll read it out. I think you might like it. And I posted it on the Jesus Magnet. And it was kind of, we caught up a couple of days ago and we were talking about, living life with intention. But also, are we living life full of faith? When we read these Bible stories with Peter walking on water, even though he sank, he still walked on water. So I'll read it out, what I wrote. Stepping out in faith today. We live in a time unlike any other in history. With the world at our fingertips, we can speak to nations in an instant, share testimonies across borders, and preach the gospel without even leaving our homes. This is something the disciples could never have imagined. They traveled on foot, endured storms at sea. They risked their lives just to bring the good news from one village to the other. Yet God has placed us in a generation where one word of faith can ripple across the globe in seconds. And yet, when we look at the disciples, we often perceive them as weak or cowardly. We read of Peter sinking into the waves, Thomas doubting, and all of them scattering when Jesus was arrested. But if we pause and realize something striking, Peter actually walked on water, even if it was only a few steps. How can many of us say we've done the impossible by faith? What we might call weak faith in them in our day. If that happened today, if somebody just did a couple of steps on water today, that would be considered extraordinary faith. And we read it in the scriptures like it's weak faith. The truth is that the disciples were ordinary men learning to live out extraordinary authority Jesus gave them. They stumbled, yes. They also grew bold. These men were once hid in fear and later stood before the rulers declaring Christ with courage, even when it cost them their lives. Yeah. So I won't finish that, but that's basically the gist of it. We read these scriptures all the time and we're talking about like stepping out in faith and we're talking about persecution. And that's what annoys me is we have watered down persecution in the West anyway, to the point where it's offended. Somebody is offended by. Oh my gosh! Somebody is offended by what I say, or I'm offended by what they say, and I take that on as persecution. We've watered down the term of persecution so much that
It's
we
offense.
also think that when we step out in faith, even so little, we give it so much glory. But when we read about the smallest miracle, like stepping on water for a couple of seconds, and we think that that's weak faith,
No.
even when if that happened today, we would say that's extraordinary. So we've flipped everything backwards, and we need to almost like rewire our brains
Right.
to not think that we're being persecuted, to step out. If persecution comes, a real persecution, you got to be ready for that.
Right.
And we've talked about this with the next couple of years. Who knows what's going to happen? Jesus could be back very
Right.
soon, much sooner than we think.
That is so true.
And if we don't step out, if we don't walk on water, even for a couple of steps.
I think for stepping out right now, I do agree with you when you said that we sometimes equate persecution with offense, they're not equal, by the way. But for us in our generation, we can also experience a different kind of persecution. Like, for example, we were talking about being digital missionaries.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people today who are having platforms and they're speaking about the truth, about a word of God on social media, where it's a secular public space. And then they're coming up with content about the Bible, like how it talks about the LGBT community or through faith, true faith. And they could sound offensive, and I'm pretty sure they will get a lot of cancellation or being canceled, I guess, or people won't like them as much, or they will have a huge following when they become famous. But then when they start to talk about truth, a particular truth, they would risk losing followers. That could be a different kind of persecution.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, that's one thing I got to give Donald Trump credit for. I'm not like a big person to say like follow Donald Trump, but he's the only president in history that has lost a lot of money after becoming president. You look at the differences between all the other presidencies. They start off with maybe a net worth of close to $1 million, and when they finish, they're at about $100 million.
Interesting.
Massive
I didn't know that.
increases. And Donald Trump had like 3.4 billion, and now he's at like 2.8 billion. He's lost probably more money than all the presidents combined.
Wow.
I would say.
And I do see him a lot on social media, because that's our world and that's where we get a lot of our information. I do know that he's restored a lot of Christian faith in the White House.
But at the cost, that's what I mean, like at the cost of like being okay with like the truth can by its nature be offensive.
Exactly.
And
divisive.
he's quite okay with that. And maybe he lies at certain things, but I also don't think he's a snake like the others, He believes he's truthful.
Right.
Where the others are just lying through their teeth, I'm sure. Anyway, let's get back to your story. You said that you came to this midlife crisis, going to church, corporate world, good money, life sort of
smooth,
ticking all the boxes. Yeah, smooth. What changed?
You just feel it, like especially when you're reading the Bible and you're coming to an age where you're getting more mature, getting more life experiences, and now you could understand life in a different way than when you're young. So, of course, when I was young, I wanted to travel, experience things, go YOLO. That's my motto in the past. So when I've done a little bit of that, you get to have a taste of like, okay, so if I do this for the next 5 years, would it be as much fun? I'm pretty sure it's not.
Yeah.
So then you start to question like, hey, what's my next season? Marry, have kids. But, that's a natural course of action, right? When you go through life. I'm not saying it's not as exciting, but it's like, would I really?
It's
I don't know how to say it, but
it's like the standard expectation
exactly
that should lead to fulfillment,
right?
And you should just do it. That's like the natural progression
Exactly.
of life.
Exactly. And
but yeah, you've got to know that God's in it as well. Like otherwise, that can become a prison.
right,
It can be.
you were right.
Some people get married because that's what they should do. They think that their life will get better if I get married. So the first person that they propose to, or gets proposed, first boyfriend or whatever it is that goes, let's get married, they think, well, I'm not happy now. Maybe I'll be happy when I'm married. Not true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then even as Christians, we already know that happiness is not the end game. Like we know God,
That's
and
right.
God meant us for eternity. So I think my soul has that natural longing and desire to find out, like, what does that eternity look like for me? I know if I'm dying, I'm going to heaven. But when I read the Bible, it comes to life. You see the Bible characters dying for their faith. Like their faith cost them something.
Yeah.
And for me, I pretty much don't know what I've sacrificed for my faith at that time.
Oh, that's good. Because most Christians probably can't say what if they've lived sacrificially for Jesus. What a good mindset to have. Because it's, I'm a Christian. I go to church. I even pay my tithes. My
time.
the sacrifice. Although, depending on your theology, the tithe already belongs to God. It's not a sacrifice because it's not yours to begin
Right.
with. Depending on your theology, of course. So you could argue that that's not even a sacrifice. So what are you sacrificing for Christ? Especially when life's so comfortable.
It's smooth.
I'm sure the disciples had a very comfortable life. I mean, not like us, not like
Well, yes, we live in a different time.
Yeah, very different time. But, they're not getting hunted down. They're not basically getting huge crowds of people tracking these people down, plotting their demise, plotting their murder. They're just fishing.
Yeah.
I love fishing. I don't know if you ever done much fishing. It's the good life, that's for sure. I mean, I'm sure time was hard back then, for sure. But
Yep, they have to pay their taxes.
yeah,
They're under the Roman rule.
but they weren't getting assassination plots and things like that.
They weren't rocking the boat before Jesus.
That's right, yeah. But they were clearly still asking the same question you were asking. What am I here for?
Exactly.
There's got to be more to this. So that's what you were thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
Even when things are going good, I like that because most of the time when I'm talking to people about their testimonies, they've hit rock bottom to think like this. What am I doing? They're knee deep in drugs and alcohol and they're drowning in debt or whatever it is, and they lost their family and they're thinking, God, help me, direct me, shape my life. But you're somebody that was going to church, have a relationship with Christ, you understood the Bible, and the trajectory of your life is good. But you're still going, Lord, there's got to be more. What can I do? And I like how you said there's a cost. What does the gospel cost me? That's a big question we need to ask ourselves. Even this podcast, I did a post, I think you saw it, which was how most missionaries are funded by many churches. And the Jesus Magnet is not funded by any churches.
Yep.
And it was, I think, the same thing. We've talked to each other about it, Laura and I. We've gone, this actually needs to cost us something as well. We can't just be doing this because someone's paying us.
Right.
Like, there has to be a cost, and we're okay with that. Like, it's
And sometimes you're happy to do it.
almost more happy. The fact that there's a sacrifice. I know I'm not doing it for me. Because it's like if you got the job of a pastor. Let's say the bills, for some reason, they couldn't pay you. Are you still going to go preach on Sunday? Because that's
a good question.
Is that your job or is that your calling?
It's a good question.
Yeah,
Right.
it's very different.
Well, it's it's something that I've had to ask myself for years. Like, that's why I think it's important to read the Bible, even when you get your life going good, even if you don't have rock bottom experiences.
Yeah.
When I was a Christian, I used to be jealous of people who had testimony.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they have this super
Yeah.
experience where they encounter God, signs and wonders.
Why can't I be raised from the dead?
I know, like,
Well, you got to be killed first.
I know, right?
You got to die.
But I don't think I have high tolerance for pain as well. So I'm not fit for that. But then my question for myself is, like, what's my testimony? If one day my children will ask me, or somebody will ask me, what's your death to life story? That one, it's hard for me to pinpoint, the course of my life at that time. So
Yeah.
trajectory has changed now. So it's clear I have more experiences with God, like real experiences from Him where I could say, oh, this is my faith. This is what God carried me through.
I mean, sometimes we need to hear a story as well that is a pretty consistent story. It's quite common for people, like not everybody has been addicted to drugs and now has had a breakthrough. Not everybody's had depression and has had those chains broken. Not everybody has had their marriage break apart, or not everybody's died and been resurrected. Like, those are out of the majority of people, that's a really, really small percentage.
Oh, yeah.
So your testimony is probably broader. It actually reaches more people than you think. So when people say, I don't have a testimony, I think, can you hear God's voice? Like,
Right.
are you able to lead in that way? Are you able to share about how you're being discipled throughout life? People need to hear that stuff. And often the testimony can be as simple as, I was lost and now I'm found. I thought I was being guided and directed, but I didn't have any purpose.
Exactly.
And that's a massive testimony, because a lot of people think that. And they're going, like, it's the lost sheep. It's just lost. And where is Jesus? And many people need to hear that, because we have these testimonies that are radical and crazy and life-changing, but they don't actually... Not everyone can relate. I can't relate to most of these testimonies, and I think, why hasn't that happened to me?
It's interesting that you mentioned about the lost sheep, because, I was just telling the story to the kids the other day, and then I realized the whole time that I was a Christian, being born in a Christian home and then growing up in church and Christian community, I thought I wasn't lost. But, sometimes you have to ask yourself, you not owning your faith, you not encountering Jesus, not encountering any huge obstacles, you might ask, maybe the enemy is not disturbing you anymore because he doesn't need to.
That's true, actually. In the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, written from the demon's perspective, he's guiding another demon, and his advice to this demon is, you don't have to make them do bad things.
Right.
You just have to make sure they're not focused on God.
Exactly.
Keep them focused on even church,
Yep.
their wife, their family, their career path, whatever it is, just as long as it's not God.
Exactly.
Which means the devil can bring good things to you.
Right.
But if it's distracting you from God, from actually hearing why you were born in the first place, who you are to dwell in this relationship with Christ.
Exactly.
Like if there's a barrier to that, even if it's your family, who knows?
Right.
Maybe that barrier's been put up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the next part of my story. So this time it was a typical year, and then all of a sudden things have changed because of COVID. So from the outside world, you're now forced to be locked inside your house, and everybody just went online. So the same goes for me. So my work became online, my community became online, and I had more time to spend on social media. So instead of like distracting myself with the pleasures out there, traveling, friends, self-development, self-help, and all that stuff, was crawling on my Facebook one day, and I just saw a picture of a child. I think she's one of a Myanmar little
Yeah.
girl from Myanmar, a little girl from Myanmar with her, with just her face, a close up of her face, and then the caption says, "More than a third of the world do not have access to Jesus." And there's a little story in the caption that this child could be born, live, and die without ever hearing the name Jesus. And that caught my attention.
Wow.
So I clicked on that page, and it's a page that's full of mobilization stories. It's about the state of the world, stories of people from different nations, languages, and groups belonging to different kind of faith, where they don't even have Christian friends or access to the Bible, access to Christian friends, or access to Christian community, and they're still good people, but they don't know Jesus. That caught my attention. So from then on, I started to click on those type of contents and go to other similar contents. And statistics shocked me. Like, wow, I grew up my whole life always hearing about Jesus, but didn't know that there were so many people out there, ridiculous number, not having that kind of access that I enjoy.
Yeah. So that struck you quite hard as like the realization of these people all around the world that would. I think about that a lot. One country, it's really part of India. One island called the Sentinelese Island, Sentinel Island, North
where
Sentinel.
John Chaw died? Sentinelese?
Yeah, the tribe, the Sentinelese tribe, North Sentinel Island. It's off the coast of India. Unreached people group, and they shoot bow and arrows at people if you get close to the shore, and really almost back in the caveman era. It's
Very
really
remote.
really remote, and you're not allowed to go there. They have killed everybody that's gone to shore, but it does make me think. How are we reaching those people particularly? Oh, it's a very small percentage of people that don't have phones and don't have access to any of that sort of stuff. I suppose there's a big percentage of people that don't have phones, but there's
Not a huge number anymore.
yeah, it's definitely getting less and less every day because phones are getting easier and easier to make, and there's so many. But these people that definitely have never heard the name of Jesus, I do wonder, how is Jesus reaching them? My thinking is dreams, visions, and signs and wonders through somebody in the tribe, I would guess. Who knows? Because God has reached many people throughout the Bible with dreams and visions all the time. Even Abraham was, just guided.
Talking
Yeah.
directly.
Yeah. There was nobody that taught him about God or anything like that. He was a pagan beforehand, worshipped other gods, and then God came across his path, basically. So I would say it'd be similar to that.
Yeah. Later on, I realized it is true. I still believe that God works by directly talking to people, dreams and visions, signs and wonders. But I think Jesus gave the most important mandate. The answer is he wants to work with us through the Great Commission.
Yeah.
He says in the Bible, like, he gave us the authority to preach the gospel to all nations. That's what we are meant to do as Christians, not to enjoy our social circle as community only Christians, but to go out there and advance his gospel. So the first time that I finally came to a realization, this is God's purpose for my life. He wants to use me to advance his kingdom as well. Not because I'm special, because he gave us that privilege as Christians to do so. And then finally, my faith came alive.
Yeah.
Finally, I'm experiencing persecution. Finally, I know what sacrifice means,
Would
what
you say-
obedience means.
Would you say there's a target on your back when almost you like wake up to the call? Like the call is now real?
Wow, I've never I've never thought of spiritual warfare that much
Yeah.
compared now,
Yeah.
before
Wow.
and now. Like I knew there's a spiritual warfare going on, but it wasn't meant for me. I do pray. I do, like as a Christian, the normal battle is with the flesh. That is so true. But when you're out there on the field, advancing God's kingdom, it is true. Principalities and powers, you will experience that kind of warfare.
That's so true. Yeah. Because it's more than we think as well. There's this guy that I've talked to, a friend of mine in New Zealand. He's moved to the Netherlands recently, but he had these lustful thoughts of people his whole life. And he ended up getting delivered demonically. He
Wow.
basically just blacked out and then woke up. And he looked around and he said, for the first time, my mind is silent.
Wow.
And he was like, I had no idea the spiritual warfare that's happening in my mind. That
Wow.
demon, like that demon and that angel sitting on your shoulder. You know the picture, how we draw that in the cartoons. And you got a good choice and a bad choice. I think that's actually very accurate in the spirit. I think there's a lot of demons whispering in your ear, a lot of different entities talking to you, swaying you left and right. That's why
Right.
we're called to hear God's voice spiritually. Like,
Right.
my sheep will know my voice. There are voices that we can hear. And I think it's important to recognize what's your voice in your head and what's not. So for him, he's like, I thought it was my voice. I thought these thoughts were my thoughts. And he would look at these women lustfully and then they just disappeared. And that really woke me up to spiritual warfare and how much they're almost like little assassins trying to make you think that it's you when it's not, and brainwashing you into this person that you're not, and everything that they can do to make you not be.
Right.
If they weren't there, I wonder what people would be like naturally without the influence of these demonic forces around us. How would your personality change? I don't even know how many
I
thoughts
have no idea.
just the average person would be shaped by these different entities talking to them. The spiritual warfare is so real all around us.
It is real. For me, I think it would be more like a battle in the mind, especially now with social media. They say that garbage in, garbage out. And we have so much time spent on social media. Like, imagine the kind of content we see every day.
Yeah.
And then it goes into your mind. So, spiritual warfare for me, it intensified, I guess, when I had more awareness or more when I got called, I think. Because then the battle gets intense in your mind. For example, the flesh, right? So we're talking about sacrifice. Now I feel sacrifice or obedience or offering to God harder than I was able to give in the past.
Yeah.
Because now you're giving something different. For example, the other time, I don't know, like, I think it's okay to say this in public, but the other time we were going to a border to minister among a refugee community. For now, I can't say the tribe or the location. And we were there. And I experienced spiritual warfare on a different level. Every time I do this, I know there's always something that's going to happen. And it's all in different ways. But this time, we were stopped at the border by the police. I go there a lot before. And this is the only time that the police would
This
come
is the
up the
time
bus.
that you've been here
Right. So
in the
we-
last couple of weeks.
Right. So what happened is we were supposed to go minister to the refugee community
Yeah.
and meet new believers there.
Yes.
So there's a thriving ministry where people are being open to the gospel. And new believers are experiencing signs and wonders, but then they need more people to minister to them. Like, what does the Bible say about this experiences? And we were going with locals, but my local friends who sorry, please cut that out. My local friends who were in that tribe couldn't get their papers from the police, so they can't travel. Then we had to go by ourselves. And me as a foreigner, I've never been stopped to go there before. But this time, police would come up the bus, ask us to leave, take our bags with us, brought us to the police station, and we had like 5 hours of questioning. What are you doing? Why are you here? And the intention why we go to that place. But of course, I'm a photographer. My visa is tourist visa. And I told them, I'm booked at the resort. I'm going to this place. Says I have my camera with me. I've shown you the photos that I've taken in the past. It shows I'm a tourist. But for some reason, they would just wouldn't let us go.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Yeah. They got this little voice saying, "Don't let them in. Don't let them in."
I know.
In their heads, I think.
Yes. And as someone who hasn't gone through a lot of persecution or physically, I mean, I do get persecution online a lot, but
Yeah.
physically, being loaded in a police car, being questioned for hours, that's a different story.
It's next level. And it's kind of, in one sense, it's a little healthy to go through that every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I mean, it doesn't compare, of course, to
it's different.
like the other people's experience where it's the cost of their life.
No, I mean, just like, you are an online missionary. You do a lot of amazing things. And it's very different when you actually get grabbed, put in a police car, interrogated. I'm not speaking from experience, by the way.
It's a different one.
Although I have been in Indonesia and preaching and ministering to people there where it is illegal to convert. And we had to do it very carefully.
You can feel
But
it.
I never got caught. Yeah.
You can feel it. If you're entering a nation where Christian is allowed but not welcomed, you will feel the resistance.
Yeah.
That's when you really go to war with principalities and powers.
Yeah.
You battle with the government, with authorities, with the culture in that area. And so even in that place where we used to minister, the beauty with my ethnicity is I look Asian. So I don't get a lot of
Pull
attention.
that mic just that way a little bit. Like that way.
Or I just...
No, that way. Yeah.
Okay.
So the top bit.
Oh,
make
so I
sure
just
that-
have to... Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So I was telling about...
Your ethnicity is a blessing, being Asian.
Yeah, being Asian, I'm brown, black hair, black eyes.
Yeah.
I don't get as much attention as white people. So it's
I've
easy.
never had this amount of attention before coming to Thailand. It's very strange.
Oh, I can imagine. Just by the color of your skin.
Yeah. Even when we started this podcast, we're like, man, I need to put some jeans on because I'm so white, like a reflective light.
Right. So, well, that to me is a blessing that I don't get as much attention. I do use that to my advantage. So, for example, when we go to places where Christianity is allowed but not welcome, I've had experiences where people will, how do I say it? I'm trying to think of the words. For example, I go with the local believers, and even though they look like me, they have a different kind of persecution experience. So the fact that they were able to receive Jesus, they will eventually be kicked out of the home or being cast out by family members. So if I associate with them, I also get a little bit of persecution. So for example, you're not welcome in certain homes anymore when you bring in a gospel tract or something, or we're not allowed to touch their kids, or talk to their kids. The mere fact that you're associated with that people. So in the field, it's different. You will feel the experience, and you will experience the persecution compared when I'm just online. Like for example, on online, you have that blanket of anonymity. When we create social media accounts, talk about God, translate the gospel in local languages, and then you run ads to an M community or a Buddhist community. Compared when you're out there in a field, you get to see people eye to eye.
Yeah.
Persecution is in your face.
It's funny though, because there's kind of two sides to that. You get the keyboard warriors, and they're really nasty, and they would never say that stuff to your face.
Right.
So then when you are evangelizing face to face, I think the amount of people that actually will be nasty to you, they might be really nasty online, but they'll be really polite face to face. So it can swing kind of both ways, but it's like higher stakes because you're right there. You're there seeing their face, it's more personal.
Right.
The emotion runs higher, where if you do it online, sometimes you can kind of switch it off, like almost not take it to heart as much as easy. Sometimes it's hard to not take it to heart when somebody's been really nasty online. But I find if you're evangelizing in person and somebody's really nasty to you, that can really ruin your day. I think the stakes are higher when you're in person.
Emotions run high and deep when you face that. And it's really uncomfortable too and scary.
Yeah.
That's why I think I love the balance of being able to become a digital missionary, but at the same time being on the ground, just to have that.
Yeah, you've got a great mix.
Balance, right?
Yeah, really good balance between the two. Yeah. So, but the digital missions, I find something that we are very underutilized as Christians. We need to step out there. Like, everyone's got this phone that reaches the planet. Like, everyone.
It does. Well,
it
does.
When you think about how, like, back in the day, people used to be stoked, really excited if they bought a megaphone and they would stand on the street because lots of people could hear them.
Street preaching?
Street preaching, yeah. And they would be loud because lots of people could hear them and they would think that they're more effective. Maybe it is effective. But we all have a phone that can reach the planet. Why are we not using that more?
I got mobilized because of my phone.
Yeah.
Just scrolling.
That's so good.
I know. I think it's could be a common story for many people if and only if we have more content about missions and Jesus online. So to tell you the story again, I was just scrolling one day when I found out an information I didn't know in the past. And that one was enough to change my life. So when I found that information, I had a real conversation with God. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's not like I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's in the Bible that we're supposed to evangelize. But to see the reality, the harvest field is much more bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
That's a different one.
I like how your story is not like I was scrolling and now I do all of this physical stuff for missions. You're so aware of the power of that one video, one picture that you came across on social media. You're so aware of that and how much it changed your heart towards the lost that you've put a big chunk of your time into creating the same content now because it affected you so much. Like you're passing it forwards.
It took some time to get to that point. I think I started off with how any typical Christian who's called by God to think about either becoming a pastor or becoming a missionary. So I did think of becoming a missionary to do direct engagement activities. And then I realized when I started to apply for a mission organization, they have a lot of requirements I don't have. One is the requirement to complete a theology course.
Okay.
And I came from a secular background. Of course, I didn't come from seminary. And also you had to prepare for 2 years to go out to the mission field.
What do you mean prepare?
A series of trainings.
Okay.
Like you have to go through a process to be trained as a missionary before you could be deployed in the field.
Interesting.
So at least for a proper established mission organization, you need to have like 2 years preparation for that.
Yeah.
And, I came from a secular field, like we're all action people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're the same. We just heard the call and said, we just
Yeah.
went.
Yeah, just like, I can't wait for 2 years. Like, what will I do in the next 2 years? Like, I know there's a lot to do in the next 2 years to prepare, but I think my personality is more like an action person. So I want to go down deep into the mud right away.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I tried. Oh, but it's COVID. I did try, but I knew it's already COVID. Everything is closed. And I realized, I know the numbers are huge and ridiculously big, like in terms of the number of non-believers. But we also know the harvest is so few, not because there are few Christians, but because there are few obedient Christians. And the term called mobilization, when there's a war, there is someone who blows the trumpet and says, hey, we need soldiers. We need to go to war. We need to start preparing and training.
Yeah.
So I saw myself in that role as someone who says, hey, friends, brothers and sisters, there's a huge number of harvests out there, but we have so few workers.
Yeah.
We need more.
That's awesome. My brother said to me, because he's been amazing. It's actually his birthday today.
Oh,
Happy birthday, Marcus.
happy birthday.
He said to me a long time ago, he could see my heart for kind of when we see something in need, leading by example and going first. And he said, because I'm a drummer, I can play the drums.
Oh.
And he said, spiritually, the drummer in a war will be sent first. The drums will be at the front, and they'll be beating
Call
their
for war.
drums. Yeah, for battle. And he said, I see you
Oh, wow.
as somebody that will go first into things. And it's, I mean, I don't even know how old I was when he told me that.
Wow.
But it has been true, like
Prophetic.
yeah, like a spiritual drummer. I've been going first into the war. Even coming here to Thailand, some people are called to go into organizations and train for 2 years and do seminary and all these things. And there's one thing about having the title of a missionary, and it's totally different having the heart of a missionary. And I think we need to really value the hearts more.
Right.
If people are feeling called, send them. Just send them. Yes, training's good. And I think discipleship's more important than anything.
Exactly.
But if somebody is willing to go, here I am, send me. Just let them go and support. If you want to get behind anyone, support them in doing missions. If they want to go do missions, if they feel the call, especially if it's been a call that's clearly been on their heart for a long time, our job is really to back those people.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's putting all these fences up that you've got to jump over to be able to serve God seems a bit counterintuitive, like making it more difficult to be sent seems crazy, I think. Although I understand the wisdom in training people as well. But it depends on what they're doing. I think it should be more case by case.
We can learn though from how the secular work or the business field is doing it. Like, how come they can do it so fast? You know, like promoting a product, targeting an audience, or even for social media influencers. Like,
Yeah.
they do it so fast. And why can't we do it as Christians?
Yeah.
You know, like putting up obstacles and hurdles for people to go
It
through.
seems crazy, doesn't it?
I know, right? So I thought, like, when it's clear to me that God has shown me the mission field, my thought was like, how come in business I don't even need to prepare as much? You know, like, you just go do it.
Yeah, because I'm an entrepreneur back in New Zealand, and literally I had an idea. I would kind of throw it at the wall and see what stuck, see if it worked.
Right. Trial and error.
Trial and error. And I've always run like that. I haven't really done very well at school, but did quite well with business. And it was actually just being okay with failing, being okay with trying things, and not thinking that that's what defined me. Because at the end of the day, you learn anything new, you're going to suck at it. You're going to be really bad when you learn a new skill.
And that's okay.
It's only better from there. It's only up from
Right.
there. And like, let's look at this podcast. I have zero training in audio engineering skills. I have zero training in social media. I have zero training in marketing. I have no training in cameras. And I got 3 cameras we got 3 cameras pointing at us. No training in lighting engineering. Nothing like that. That probably shows right now. But we're getting different lights soon.
Right.
But it's just doing it because God's asked you to do it. He doesn't
Exactly.
call the qualified. He qualifies the called. This is the training, but the training reaches souls simultaneously. It's like an apprentice for a builder. Do you have apprentices in
Yes.
Philippines? So if you
Yes,
want to
we
become
do.
an electrician or a builder or a plumber, you take on an apprenticeship. You learn on the job. You
Right.
make mistakes, but you do the job at the same time.
Right.
Why do we not run missionaries like that?
I know.
You know, go out and do it.
Just wing it.
You're probably going to make a mistake. That's where grace comes in. It's okay to make mistakes.
Exactly.
And it should almost be called an apprenticeship. So much better.
That's
this
true.
whole thing's been an apprenticeship. Like a 5-year apprenticeship now. The Jesus Magnet.
Right. And I think part of the reason why I'm hesitant to go on this podcast, because like I mentioned to you before this conversation, I just had so many trial and error. My missions journey is not smooth. So it's like, if you're going to ask me, like, what's your God story? It's full of trial and error,
Full of mistakes.
full of mistakes. And
Have you read about Moses? Have
I
you read
know. There
all
was
these
a time.
people?
It's like, there was a time I thought, like, another person would even ask me, like, do you really hear from Jesus? Because, you know, sometimes it does look like you don't know what you're doing. And then people would ask you, like, are you clearly really hearing from God? Because the way I hear your story, it's like you're just winging it. You know what I mean? But for me, I feel like even those trials, even those errors, mistakes, bad decisions, call it whatever, it's just part of being a Christian. You know what I mean?
God didn't choose perfect people. He chose he chose broken people. He chose foolish people, and the Bible says that God will make wise people look like fools.
Right.
And like it's our job to not trust in our abilities, our job to trust in that we heard the Lord say to go, and we don't know really what we're doing. We're Moses standing at the Red Sea going, I can't cross this, but you can, God. That's all our job is.
So true.
Is just to get to that point
So
and be
true.
like, you know what? Let's go, Lord. You know, step out of the boat, walk on water, do a couple of steps. It's all right to sink.
It's okay. I mean, it brought me far. You know, like just having that faith, the clarity that God is asking you, and you just go do it. It's not smooth. It's not gonna be smooth. You were mentioning about not knowing anything about cameras and lights and audio engineering, but you know, you're here doing podcasts. I had the same experience. I came from a finance background, working in a corporate world. Like, there's zero creativity in that. But then, like, when God told me and used my experience on social media, being mobilized into the mission field because of this content, I started to learn cameras.
Yeah.
I've never held a camera before, and I was born in a time where there's zero smartphone yet. So, with my own finances, sacrifices, that's my first sacrifice. I bought my cameras. I've learned how to operate one, capture stories, and eventually learn from there. Now I'm able to serve like organizations to do stories for them, do documentaries, or just immortalize a testimony. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And we were talking about this over lunch the other day, and I thought it was kind of cool. What happens if the rapture comes? You know, what happens if some event happens and all the Christians are no longer here? How important is it for digital missions for us to leave something in our place in the event that Jesus comes tomorrow and all of a sudden we're not here? How important is it for us to leave something for the people around us? And even if that doesn't happen for another 100 years or 200 years or 300 years, how important is it for you to leave your mark for your child, your great-grandchild, your great-great-grandchild? They might choose Jesus because they heard your story. And I think that's really powerful. You could have been dead for 500 years, but somebody chooses Jesus Christ because of your story, that you were obedient to immortalize your story digitally.
You hit something so close to my heart. You know, even though I grew up in church, I don't have a lot of encounters with missionaries, at least in the flesh. So, and I think a lot of churches are that way, that we neglect or we forgot about the nations. So when I got more awareness about the mission field, the next thing I need is, yes, I do have the Bible, but what does being a missionary look like in my context today? So I went to the stories of other missionaries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How did they start? What did they do?
Yeah.
How did God call them? Because you have a lot of questions, you know, as someone who's just got into the mission field, you don't know where to start, how to go, like how to live it. Yeah. And I had to rely so much on the testimonies of others. Yeah. And I'm ever so grateful that they're all mostly on video.
Yeah.
People don't read really books these days, to be honest with you, but people watch a lot. And I did the same.
That's so true. Like the importance of stepping out in faith for the first time, like even the fact that we have a faith, and at the end of the day, the Gospels themselves are testimonies of what Jesus did, how he lived, that he died and he raised again. They're testimony accounts, they're eyewitness accounts. That's testimony. So the reason we have a faith to begin with is because someone wrote down and recorded with the best of their ability the testimony of Jesus Christ. That's the only reason we're Christians now, is because somebody actually wrote it down.
Right.
And think of it like that. Your story is the modern day gospel of how Jesus Christ came and changed your life. That's what the gospel is. You got these 12 guys, they get radically changed by this one guy, and this is their story. Right through the book of Acts, you can see the story carry on. And what's the book of Acts in our lives? We've been transformed by Christ. Now what?
Exactly. And I think part of what I've experienced also, I've learned along the way that there's a dominant, I don't know how do you say it, but like there's this mainstream look of how faith looks like. You know what I mean? Like most of our content and resources online are from the West.
Yes. Yeah.
And I live in Asia. Well, Philippines has quite a similar Western mindset, but we're Asians, so
yeah.
it looks different in terms of culture and language. There's a barrier to cross. So in my experience, when I take testimonies and stories, especially from local believers, it hits different, when it's heard in the local language.
It's spoken
and we need more
in
of
their
that.
culture. It's spoken in their
Exactly.
their body language. The
Exactly.
way that their heart is shaped by Christ.
Right.
It's the most effective with their people.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need to encourage people to do that more.
More. I mean, I know so many amazing missionaries who've had crazy experiences. Like the lessons they can give is gold. But the thing is that they're also not young. You know what I mean? So we as younger people would try to capture as many of those stories because we don't want to lose it. Like when they go
We
back
need
to
to
Jesus.
Be the tech people,
Right.
because technology's, man, it's rapidly changing all the time. And man, I am so scared to what it might look like when I'm an old man.
Well, there's this one particular story I cannot forget. So we were filming in West Africa, and it's a people group that had the Bible for the first time in their local language. So part of our assignment is to capture his testimony of what his first experience with reading the Bible in the local language for the first time. So they've been Christians for quite a while, and they have been, prior to that Bible in the local language, they've only been hearing the sermons from their own pastor. So they can't read English, they can't read French, and they only rely on one or two sources or when missionaries come. And this translation is about the Resurrection Sunday, and they read the story of Jesus coming back to life from the tomb, from the dead.
Yeah.
And he was saying when he was at church, they were reading the resurrection story, and the reader came to the part where Jesus got up or showed up to, was it Mary?
The two women?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary.
The first one.
I think it was Mary.
Yeah, the first one. And then when he heard that, he suddenly stood up. And then he said, wow, I never thought he literally was raised from the dead. I thought he figuratively rose from the dead.
It's
And
like a ghost or something.
it's like he thought it's just a symbol.
Oh, just like a movement raised with him.
Right. So he thought it was just an idiom that they use.
Wow.
That Jesus was resurrected from the dead. He realized for the first time that he literally rose from the dead.
Wow.
And he was like, wow, I didn't know my God is that great. And
That is so cool.
yeah, and for translators, it gives them, when they hear that testimony and then they show it to the church, people will know the importance of Bible translation.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause-
That's awesome.
Like for us, we're English speakers. We read the Bible in English. I mean, we never had that experience of like never having the Bible firsthand.
No, that's right. And even some of these languages don't even have a written language. So people have to translate the Bible orally. And that's why we've got these recording devices now. And you can, they just say that, literally are reading the Bible using translators on translators on translators. I've got a friend of mine that's become a Bible translator. And she was saying that basically they use, they do one translation and then somebody else does it that has not spoken to each other. They do the same thing. And then they do it with another person. And then they check the translations and see if they're all the same.
Yep.
And that's how
Read it back.
they make sure that when you're saying this is Jesus rising from the dead, you might have another translator that says this is Jesus movement rising from the dead. Not thinking it's like real. And then you get the last one that says Jesus actually rising from the dead. So then you get the gist of,
Right.
no, it actually is Jesus rising from the dead. 2 out of 3. One person's not reading it quite right. And
Yeah.
that's how you do it. You find a majority consensus of multiple people reading the same thing. And then that way, it's kind of like Chinese whispers, but it works for the gospel to maintain the central pillars of what the story is actually doing. There's going to be tiny little outliers this is actually how the Bible was developed over years. People always say there's so many different translations of the Bible. Surely, through Chinese whispers, it gets more and more lost. The real story gets watered down slowly over time. That's not true. The more copies you make of something, the harder it is to remove it. I always use the example of Harry Potter, the book Harry Potter. So there's a lot of Harry Potter books. Maybe let's say there's 50 million Harry Potter books, something like that. The first book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. In 200 years' time, how easy is it going to be to change that story?
Very difficult.
Very difficult, because there's 200 copies you would have to change. There's, what did I say before? 10 million, 50 million copies you'd have to change. You might be able to change some.
Right.
But it's impossible to change them all.
Yep.
To actually change the narrative. And that's how the texts have been preserved. Even if the original Harry Potter manuscript that J.K. Rowling herself wrote was burned, we still know what she wrote down because of all the copies.
Yeah.
That's actually how it's preserved. The more copies we have doesn't weaken the Bible, it strengthens it.
You just emphasized something so important. Like, imagine if they do that in written manuscript before. What if we do that on videos today?
Yeah.
Like the goodness of God being testified through stories of people, testimonies of Christians out there on the social media, flooding the platform.
Yep.
Imagine how many people we can reach.
That's what I mean. I'm seeing, even recently on this show, we're seeing more and more people with dreams and visions and these amazing similarities. When we went we went around New Zealand a few years back, and we went from city to city, and we went to all these different. It was the first time I'd ever gone to a different church every week for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, very strange.
Wow.
Just because we were on tour, we're going around New Zealand in a caravan with all this Jesus Magnet audio gear and everything. And one thing Laura and I noticed is the reason we noticed it so strongly was because this pastor was talking about testimonies. We're like, that's us. We talk about testimonies. That's our, the Jesus Magnet loves testimonies. So we remembered his message really well. And then we get to the next town, and the pastor says, the Holy Spirit's been really stirring in my heart, and he's wanting us to really talk about testimonies. And we're like, oh, that's what the last pastor said. Interesting. And then the next week we go to another church in a different town, by the way. Ours.
They don't know each other.
And it goes, the Holy Spirit's really been talking to me over the last couple of weeks, stirring my heart to talk about testimonies. And we're like, hang on, this is 3 different churches, 3 different pastors, all don't know each other, and the same voice is talking to them about the same thing? And
how clear is that?
That is evidence that they're all hearing the same person. They're hearing the Holy Spirit, because that couldn't be manufactured. And that I'm just saying 3 times. I'm talking 20 times that this happened over the whole journey. And Laura and I were just baffled. When your pastor says, oh, the Holy Spirit's been talking to me this week about such and such and such. I could put money, if he's a God man, I could put money on the fact that he and pastors all across the country are getting similar voices telling him in their spirit, this is what I want you to share on Sunday. Honestly, it's freaky. But we only experienced that because we went across the whole country.
Wow.
We were able to kind of, it was like a
That's unbelievable.
experiment, like a spiritual experiment. Really weird.
I mean, like 20 plus. Unbelievable.
Oh, like 50 different churches we went
Wow,
to. It was
insane.
awesome. And Bible studies and like organizations, it wasn't just churches either. The Holy Spirit's talking across the body of Christ all at once.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
That's
cool.
amazing.
So, and I think of the same thing when we post a testimony, you're talking to the whole planet.
So,
It goes across everybody. Everyone has access to tap into that voice of somebody's story.
Yeah.
Everyone has access to tap into the Holy Spirit.
what's amazing is that in our generation, we're now like mobile phone people. You know how algorithm just shows up on your phone? If you start clicking on one content and like 100 plus of those similar content follows.
Yeah.
You know, imagine just picking one testimony by accident.
Yeah.
You watch it and then similar stories would follow.
Yeah. Well, that's what
It could
happens
be
on
similar.
the show. That's what happens. I remember the amount. Yeah, maybe it was the area that I was in. I'm not really sure, but there were so many meth testimonies all in one go. Like, it might have been the area. I'm not really sure, but I think people needed to hear about how God can break free the drug addictions, especially at that
Wow.
time. You know, it just was the season for it. So all our job is to be the conduits digitally. Let's get this story recorded. Let's get it out there into the world so people have access to it.
Right.
And we've had people write in saying, you know, they were at the end of their tether and they heard this person's testimony. Thank you for your
Yeah.
podcast. Like, it's cool, you know. That's when you know God's working.
There's also this this is an article I read about a few days ago, how Gen Zs are now developing as a generation.
Oh, yes.
They're now desiring for the truth.
Yes.
Like they don't like fakeness anymore or hypocrisy, and everybody just, I don't know, like
There's the most amount of Gen Zs going to churches
Right.
that have never had any church experience. Nobody in
I
their
know.
family goes to church, and there's the most amount of non-church people going to church
right.
in history.
I wonder if it's because they've been exposed to the gospel online.
I would say
It's
that's
a huge
big
possibility.
Well, it's such a big possibility. It's almost the only possibility.
Right.
Because they don't have anybody to talk to them about the gospel. These are people that don't have Christian family members. They don't have Christian friends. So the chances of them hearing it online, I would say, would be
Could be the only
99%. Yeah, it'd be really, really high. So
It's insane.
whatever we're doing is working. Flood the internet with God.
I know. And we need more of that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, though. I think that they're really seeking for truth. We had this one generation, ours, that went crazy and thought anybody could be a turtle or a boy or a girl or a unicorn. And it's not true. It's just it's a total lie from the devil. And I think these people, I got a real heart for the LGBTQ plus people, and I feel for them. I really do, because I just think they got a really bad hand at a really bad moment in time in history, that they were where the devil got hold of a couple of centimeters and he took a mile. He just
Wow.
ran with it, with this deception, but it couldn't last.
You just reminded me, like, how does the West import their culture? It's through Hollywood. Videos, entertainment. And that's why even in Asia, as an Asian person, like, we're pretty traditional in a sense of, like, how strict we are in terms of gender. Like, we don't let a baby choose his gender, right? I mean, as a culture, we don't do that.
Yeah.
But then later on, we realize, like, wow, there's this generation of now thinking that they're able to choose their gender.
Yeah.
And how did they come about thinking that way? Social media.
Yeah, it's I think I heard Elon Musk talk about this, that there was a there was a state that had the largest, I think it was the largest radio, no, it was where all the algorithms for how they developed the algorithm that steered people to what content that they would see, something like that.
Right.
But it was in the state, whatever, I don't know what state it was in America, but the state was kind of the gayest state, the most LGBTQ rainbow people in that state. And because those people basically had a megaphone across the internet, it changed our mindset.
Wow.
You know how we were talking earlier
It's like
about
a movement now, right?
Yeah, but you know how we're talking about how
Yin
you
and
get these
yang.
voices in your head that are demonic, and they're telling you, you know, you have lustful thoughts over women, or you're not really that special, or, you know, they direct you. It's like that, but with your phone, like these little thoughts that you scroll past it and you're going, I'm not going to listen to that, whatever it is. You get enough of that on your phone,
Right.
and your brain starts to accept it.
See, the enemy is so effective in using social media and all these platforms in Hollywood into changing an entire generation into a particular kind of culture or way of thinking. And sometimes, you know, as a digital missionary, I could see how we're really lacking behind in terms of like keeping up, you know, just posting content.
That's
and
right.
like
Keep it going, like flood the internet. I think that's the way to do it. It's the best tool. It's the most powerful tool, but for both sides, and we've got to be aware. It is just as good for deceiving people as it is for sharing the truth. So we need to have more truth than deception on the internet. One of the cool things that I read earlier today was Mel Gibson, who said he was the director of The Passion of the Christ. He's doing a sequel, The Resurrection, in 2 parts, and he's going to be releasing it in May of 2027, and part 1 on May 23rd, I think it is, and then 40 days later he's releasing part 2.
Wow.
And that is to show Jesus being around for 40 days, the witnessing. So the event happens, the resurrection. So we're going to all go to the movies and we're going to see this resurrection. We're going to be like, whoa.
That'll be so cool.
And then 40 days later, there's going to be part 2, which I don't know, it might be a bit of the Book of Acts or something like that. I'm not sure.
That's Hollywood for you. That's the way it should go.
I'm just saying, like, it's super cool, you know, like.
Wow.
And that's a powerful movie, the Passion of the Christ. I don't know.
My curiosity is, by now, is he already Christian or?
Mel Gibson?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
he's
didn't
Christian.
realize that.
Yeah, he is definitely Christian. I've seen him on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he's said, he's Christian. He's got a very strong faith now.
Was it after he created The Passion of Christ or before that?
Ooh, it's a good question. I would be quite surprised if he was directing that prior. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, a lot.
And have you heard about the actor, John, whatever his name is, who played Jesus?
Yes.
That he got struck by lightning. And he broke his shoulder or something like that, carrying the cross. And yeah, like the devil did not want that film made.
Spiritual warfare.
That's straight up assault.
Because it's gonna advance the gospel so much, you know, by a famous director to be shown to millions and millions of people around the world. Of course, the enemy doesn't want that.
And total authenticity as well in Arabic. Like,
wow,
the whole movie's in a different language, and somehow we're still watching it. You know, it's not even a barrier.
That's true.
I find that amazing.
And you know what? He is a famous Hollywood director, right? So
And
he's
actor,
already got the platform. But what amazes me even more is just even an ordinary person like you and me already has that platform.
Yeah.
Do you realize that?
I do. Yeah, 100%. We have a platform, like we said. This phone here reaches the whole planet. It's connected to the whole planet, which is crazy. I can do a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, and the whole planet can basically watch me if they found me.
Right. And everybody could do that now, which is amazing. So God has already given us the authority. He said, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to us.
Yeah.
We have the platform today.
It's so good.
So there's no excuse for us to not talk about Jesus.
Go preach to all the world, make disciples. That's
true.
our job. Get into it. Get into the whole world. Let's finish with a question, Hannah. I love how you've shared, kind of pieces of your story, and we've sort of like mixed in the importance of digital missions. So for somebody that's like wanting to step out, they want to do maybe lives or shorts or something digitally and go, I think I can do that for Christ. Because you can do it anywhere, anywhere you got internet, you can do it. What's your advice for like how to get started? And how do you not fear the world? Because you're kind of putting yourself out there when you start to preach the gospel from your phone or from your computer.
Right. Well, when you're given the platform, it also is scary, but I think I started off not even realizing we do have the platform. For me, my first step was a clarity between me and God. And I think knowing how important it is to really cling to a relationship with Jesus first. That's one. Like, testimonies are amazing. They're the ones that given me a direction towards where should I look. But at the end of the day, I had to go back to the Bible and what Jesus says about me and my life. That once he saved me, he wants to also do the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, salvation is just not for me anymore. Jesus doesn't just love me. He loves everyone else. And that's where his heart breaks. He wants everybody to be saved. So I think knowing the heart of Christ and what he's called you to do is important as a first step. So I knew it that God's heart, Jesus' heart, is for the Great Commission. And I wasn't even thinking missionary. Like, once you know the Great Commission, it'll just lead you to where you should go. So you could be in digital missions, or you could be a pastor. Yeah. And I've tried many different routes, but at the end of the day, whether I go I'm not a pastor, but for example, if I decide to become a missionary, you can be a missionary plus engage your work with digital engagement. Like, we all use social media. So, you amplify your ministry to digital missions. Yeah. You could be someone who's working in the justice or compassionate ministries, like sometimes, which I do, going to communities where there is not much access to resources, but also the gospel. And then do that, plus amplify it with digital engagements. Because then you start to show your life and your story to people. They will be inspired. Oh, I can do this too. Like, what did God give me? The story about the boy who had loaves of bread and then just fish. Like, what did Jesus say? What's on your hand?
Yeah.
I have a loaf and fish. So God has given us something, and we just have to be faithful with it.
That's so good.
And technically, we could actually amplify everything by digital engagement.
Yeah. And in one sense, how Jesus took the fish and the bread and he multiplied it. So many people were fed. For us, we have something where we have a story in us and we can put it on our phone, put it on social media and multiply it. So many people are spiritually fed. How Jesus has radically changed our lives. And that's a good way to think of, like, not just physically feeding ourselves, but we really need to, how do we multiply what we have been, how do we multiply the revelation that is within us most effectively, energy effectively? And that's so true. Man, Hannah, you've been great and I love what you've been doing. Do you have anything that you want to share in the sense of people partnering with you, or your mission, or like your social media and things like that.
Yeah.
We can put that in the link as well, but if you want to share anything before we finish up.
Right. Yeah. Well, Joel, like you, I mostly found myself. In terms of like partnerships, I do work and collaborate with people, but I think what best helps me is like prayer. I do have a social media, but I use my personal. In terms of work, it's not on my personal account, so I'm not at liberty to disclose.
We might just keep that safe,
right?
and secure.
Not at liberty to disclose. But this is what I can share though, for people out there who's thinking of like, how do I grow more in terms of like serving God? I would just encourage everyone to talk to Jesus first, and then like get your phone. No, my hesitation is that, you know how people would just like do their devotion, read their Bible, and then they take a photo of themselves.
Yeah.
And then they post it on social media. I don't mean it that way.
Right.
What I mean is that like if you're already clear with your calling and what you're doing, and if you're not yet on social media, might as well consider like doing that. That's my point.
That's true. Just add it to your mission. Add it to whatever you're doing, because you never know. Someone might scroll past it.
Yeah.
And be radically changed from it. Yeah. And then we get another Hannah, which is awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Hannah, for joining us on the Jesus Magnet.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I had a great time.
Yeah. I'm glad you're able to come to Chiang Mai and hang out with us. Yeah. It's awesome. Awesome. All right. Bless you.